How about you? I'm Hank. Welcome to Hamiltonville Farm. I've got about $30 to $40 worth of parts here to make this thing a little safer. Right now, what I've got to do is I've got to crank up the machine with a screwdriver, and then when I'm through doing whatever it is that I'm doing, I've got to use the kill switch on the disconnect to actually cut the machine off, and that's not good. It's not safe at all. So we're going to rewire up the starter switch so that we can turn it on and off from the driver's seat, and that way you ain't got to get off to cut the machine off. You know, starting it like this is always dangerous because it could, you know, maybe I forget to put it in neutral or something like that. And then definitely having to get off of it to cut it off is way dangerous. Can you imagine if it was like an excavator or something like that, and or a skid steer, and like some brushes or limbs have hit the joysticks or the controls to move you back? You just can't, you know, you've got to be able to cut it off from the seat. That's just all there is to it. So we're going to take care of that today. So what I'm going to do first, I think, is just go ahead and get this solenoid. Some people call them starter relays, some people call them starter solenoids. Anyway, we're going to take that off and get to that. I don't think there's a nut behind it, but if so, we can get that. But let's get that off here right quick. And I just got the parts from O'Reilly's. Like I said, I think it was 30 bucks maybe. I can't remember. Actually, looks like I got the receipt in there. Let me tell you exactly how much it cost. Because I bought some eyelets for the wire connectors, and then I bought some extra wire in case I need it. So I bought just some 14 gauge 100-foot roll of wire in case I need that. Bought some connectors here, ring terminals, the old Dorman specials, and then this is what we're going to place. And it was, these three pieces were something $37.72. Yeah, so not quite 40 bucks. But this is, and this is just a standard 12-volt starter relay switch. Comes with some installation instructions, so we'll reference that. But they should be pretty simple. Should be pretty simple to take care of. Pretty windy out here today. Man, I love this time of year. Getting to be spring and all that. If you've never done this before, they're pretty simple. I wish I would have bought something that's a little different than that. This ain't gonna work, or it might work. One of them goes to the starter, one of them goes to the ignition, then one of them's got to go to the battery. So I think everything will go through this starter. We'll put it over here. We might just be using these two lugs right here because we're not going to use the accessory switch. So maybe we'll just use these two lugs, and I'll just stick it off to the side. If this doesn't work, I'll go buy one that's mounted that way. Not the end of the world. All right, so let's start taking off. Let's start taking these off. Finally getting to be weather where we can start wearing shorts and things like that. That's what we like down here in Florida. So you know, when the weather starts to change. I'm just going to take this starter lug off first. Set it off to the side. I've already dropped the washer. Already starting off by dropping, but that's okay, we're not going to reuse this anyway. Now this right here, this wire, I don't know where it goes. It goes down into a little sensor down here beside the hydraulic motor, maybe, beside the transmission. So I'm not sure exactly what that is. But we'll find a place for it. Alright, and then we get, there was two wires going to this lug on this side, but we cut one of them. I think one of them was to the fuel pump. getting power to the fuel pump, but we actually cut it off and rewired the fuel pump to it. I'll have to replace that. It looks like that's a... Okay, that went on. This was the fuel. Alright, cool. I think that was the fuel pump sign. Alright, now let me take off the 7/16. One thing about it is the doggone tire gets in the way. Going to use that on the back side. All right. Okay, so these things have markings on. S is for starter, I is for ignition. And then on this side went to the actual starter motor, and so we're going to hook up that wire that went to the side. I said it looks like it went to the transmission. It'll be on this terminal here, and then nothing was on the ignition switch here, but it's on. I think we're going to put it on. This one will go to the top, and this one will go to the bottom. I know what I'm saying in my mind, so y'all just stick with me, okay? You know, what's he talking about? Just hang loose with me. We'll get it figured out together. Easy, cheesy. Let me make sure that's the way I want. Well, I mean, that's the only way to go. I hope this works, because I don't know if the solenoid was or if it's a bad key switch, because I didn't buy a new key switch, but we may have to run to the store and get a new key switch if that's the case. Which is, I mean, it ain't the end of the world if we have to do that, but... But this thing runs good. I run it yesterday and removed, we moved a pallet full of stone that was about 3,500 pounds. Like these, you know, landscape blocks. Okay, so this went to the starter button here. So we're just going to put it back the way it was and see if we're missing anything. We're going to just put the wires back, you know, like they were on the original, and see if indeed that was one of the issues that we were having, was just a bad solenoid. That would be ideal. Everything was still wired up properly. That would be just a $37 fix. That'd be awesome. Could we get that lucky? This was, I think that's turns. I'll put this one. I think it was on this one. Actually, I won't put that on till last. But I'm tighten these down. Just 1/2 inch, 7/16 and 3/8 is all you need. This is pretty nice, even though this tire's in the way. It's pretty nice that it's accessible. I don't have to, you know, most of these are. Most of them are pretty accessible on like the fender wells and stuff like that. Sometimes you just gotta hold your mouth right to get these things taken, you know, put on. Okay, let's try that. Let's try that and see if that works. That's the original wires on there, and if that doesn't work, then we'll have to put this on the ignition side and see if that works that way. Make sure we turn the switch back on. Neutral. Nothing. Okay, let me make sure that I'll check. I need to check from some fuses as well. Well, that wouldn't have been good, would it? Alright. Let me take this off and check that. Or let me try the ignition on there. Come on. I'm not really sure that this is the ignition wire. We're just going to try it. Then I'll be able to... That thing's smaller than it. I should at least make contact there. Alright, nothing there. Let me take this key switch off and see where it goes. Alright, let's see what we got. See what we got working with here. 2 wires coming off the ignition. Blue wires going to the battery, and the starter is an orange wire. Let me take a picture of this. Orange and all these clusters. Where did that go to? There's a couple of cut wires down here. Like, I don't think they go, none of it's fused. Just this one. It's the fuse is good, but I'll put a multimeter on it here in a minute. But that's the only one I see that's All right, let me take a picture of this. And there's only one wire going to the fuse, and that fuse is good. But let me take a picture of this and see if I can find the colored wires over here. So you guys, you're probably like me, or you're probably not like me actually, but everything, it can't be nothing, you know? Can't be nothing easy is what I'm trying to say. It's always something, some kind of booger gonna get you. Alright, so orange goes to the starter. So that's the blue one, so it should go to the battery. Maybe that's got something to do with it too. That's probably one of the issues. Alright, let me cut this off and replace it. Look at that, guys. Ugh. That might be our problem right there. Oh, that's awesome. Where'd it go? So my wife bought me these for Christmas. Inside of it's got solder. And so they heat shrink on one side and solder on the other. So you take your wires, put your wire in there. And I'm just going to twist them because they're going to get soldered. And then you put the solder point over the connection there, and you run a heater on it, a heat source on it, and it melts the solder. I don't think being here on the windy day is going to help us any. Alright, that ain't gonna work. I need my heat gun, but let me Alright, that ain't working. Let me go get my heat gun. Might need a butane torch. What is this one? The blue went to battery. So let's put, I wonder if, see, I don't, here's what it looked like before. Oh, so it did go to, okay. So it needs to get on this one. I hear my wife on the tractor. Where's she going? Alright, let's just try that. It went to 2. And we may end up changing this wire out as well. This is the brown one. And that went to the ignition, which is where it's at. Alright. Let me get another. Let me tighten that down. Come on. .3/8 is too big. Why is Alright. Still don't know what this wire does down here at this sensor. But let's try that. Okay, okay. Wow, that's a lot of wires that go back there. I wonder if I'm just going to have to run it straight and bypass these. The starter is orange. Ignition is a fatter orange, and battery is the blue. It's gotta be with, there's a big fat, there's nothing going to the starter, I guess. So the blue one, that's like a brownish color. That's the ignition. So that's ignition. So there's nothing going to the starter from the key switch. So I gotta find that. I gotta find that blue. I mean this fat orange wire I gotta find. Unless it goes down to here. I tell you what I could do is I could just run a piece of wire across there and see. Let me just go to the starter. From that starter switch to the starter button. Pull a little bit. And if that's the case, then we know we got that bad wire. Where'd that red wire go? There went my roll of wire. That's awesome. Hopefully I can see that from the cab. I keep saying cab, you guys know what I mean. Yeah, there she is. Okay. Put this on the starter ring. And hopefully that fixes our problem. You guys in the comments are like, nah, you didn't do this, this, and this. And you're probably right. But I never have been good at electrical. This is a watch West work type job. He'd have this done in like 3 minutes. That dude, watch West work, he is something else, ain't he? That dude knows what's up. Because this solenoid is, it's an open and closed type circuit, right? You turn the switch and it closes the circuit, and then it connects all the points in there after you're, that's how it operates. Oh, you know what I didn't try? Before I do this again. I don't think I had the disconnect turned on. So maybe before I connect this to the starter, I'll turn the disconnect on. I don't think I did anyway. So this is to the starter. And I may have to do the same thing for the ignition because that wire is kind of rough. Go to the other side. Starter and ignition really is what you need. I don't think you need much more than that. I got a friend of mine that wants me to come help him cut some tree limbs that are over his house. So we'll take this over there and help him with his trees that are over his house. That'd be nice to have. little safer, you know, when you can actually extend out over that and you have the right equipment to do that with. This switch may be bad. If all else fails, I'll go get a new switch and then I'll just run the wire straight. Yeah, that's not working either. So we're not getting juice. I'll just run the wire straight. I'll do it that way. So we can pull. Let's pull this some more. All right. Now we're just going to run the same thing. We're going to run it from ignition to ignition and battery to battery. I've got a thicker, I got a 12 gauge that I'll run from batteries. But now we'll just run ignition to ignition. The only confusing part about this is going to be, well, that battery's okay, but I wonder if it needs to go over there. So that starter, oh wait a minute. Yeah. Battery. What is this? Where does that go? Let me follow this blue wire across the engine here. Oh, it goes to the alternator. Okay. And we'll put a yellow. I forgot my daggum wrenches. We'll put a yellow wire on it. I don't know what size that is, but it ain't 5/16. Alright. Let me see if I can pull that out. Alright, this is the ignition wire we just took off. It's brown. See, it don't even come up here. Where does it go? Okay, it goes into that wire. No, it's L. Maybe it does go on here. I bet the relays are bad. We're just gonna bypass them anyway. Probably blow my telehandler up, but we're gonna bypass it anyway. Okay, let's put the ignition one on. The other one didn't go too bad. Maybe we'll get lucky and this one won't go as bad neither. It ain't ideal to use the same color wire for everything, but man, when you ain't got it, and you want to get it done, that's why I'm trying to use maybe different color connectors. I know that's not ideal, but it is what it is. All right, that's awesome. Okie dokie. Set that there. About yellow. About blue. Blue will work. We used red on the last one. On a nice day, nice cool day or whatever, I'll come out here and I'll run them through a wire loom and all that stuff, because it is kind of important. Well, it is important that you don't they don't chafe and stuff like that. Only thing I don't know about is the relay. Well, that ain't that ain't the only thing I don't know about. There's a lot more I don't know about, but you know what I'm saying. I don't know if it needs to have one or what. Blew it well. Okay. If we do this and nothing happens, then either it has to go through a relay or this switch is bad. Which we can go buy a new switch. It's awesome. This machine's really just too big for me. I don't really need something this size. So I'm actually going to look to trade it or sell it and get something a little more, something smaller, so that I can haul it pretty easily on my trailer and stuff like that. Because this thing's 24,000 pounds. That's heavy. Okay, the only thing left is the battery. So let's turn the switch on here and see if those two new wires made a difference. Nope. Okay, something is not, so that solenoid is open. That may be a bad switch, but that solenoid is open, and when you turn the things, or when you turn the switch, it's supposed to close the circuit so that the current, I mean, I understand the principle, I just don't know what it's not doing. And it may be a bad switch. So now we've got to run from the switch to the battery, which was this one. And see, that's what I'm thinking, is this is, when you turn on the ignition switch, it goes into this lug right here, and that should energize these two. It should make the connection between these two lugs right here. So let me see. Okay, is this true? Can I put a screwdriver between these two? Turn the ignition switch on, put a screwdriver between these two, and it crank the truck? I mean, the telehandler. Let's see. Battery's on. It's in neutral. And then if that's the case, we'll see if it cuts it off this way. Alright. Because cutting it off is the important part. And then that might tell me if the switch is bad, right? Will that work? Alright, should I be able to arc these out right here? I thought I should be able to. Okay, that. I don't know. The only other thing I know to do is run another wire from this lug to the, I just don't know what that is. Yeah, I don't know why I can't arc. I don't know why I can't arc it out right there. Because it's getting the positive battery's coming to here, and it's feeding here to here. Or maybe that needs to go on that. No, that don't make no sense. Or it doesn't make sense. Let me take a picture of that starter solenoid because I can't see in there. I think that's right though, because that's where you ground it out. Okay, so let's try, let me go buy a switch, and you're like, Hank, you're doing this wrong, blah blah. And I know, that's why I looked at a diagram. I looked at wiring diagrams before I started it, and maybe I just don't know what I'm looking at. You got an ignition, you've got a starter, you got accessories, and you got to have power to the battery and other existing. Yes. The S terminal is the start terminal. The ignition switch sends power to this terminal to activate the solenoid and send power through the contacts to the starter. So that's this one. The ignition, so it sends power. When you turn the power on, it sends it to the starter terminal. And it activates the solenoid and sends power through the contacts. The I terminal, which is this one, is used on vehicles that use a resistor in the primary power circuit. Okay, there was a resistor up there to the coil to lower the voltage, but it still should at least bump over. This terminal momentarily sends a full 12 volts to the coil to help start the engine. It's not used on some vehicles. It was not used on that. That's true. This goes to starter. Make sure both sides of the coil mounting brackets are well secured and clean for proper grounding. Yeah, that's grounded. That says to starter. So I wonder if that goes to the if that goes over here and then that goes to the battery. Let's try that. Y'all want to? So we will put this one to this one, and we'll connect the two there. We'll just take this off and then we'll run a wire to there and see how that works. Alright, now let's see what happens. I've got this lug run to the power in the battery. That's coming straight off the positive side of the battery. I got this lug running to the other solenoid lug up here on the starter, ignition, and starter. Alright, I don't know what else to do except maybe the key switch is bad. Alright, so we turn on the switch there. Oh. Okay, we're probably not going to do nothing. No. It has to have power now to the battery on this blue cable. Let me make sure the blue one's the blue all the way to the... Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, let me put that on the battery. I think this was that blue one, right? Pretty sure. So it should go there. Now the switch is powered, so to speak. Alright, let's try that. Alright, here we go. There we go. Now let's see if it cuts off. No, it don't cut off. Why does it not cut off? Well, we're halfway there. We'll give it a shot. Oh, we're halfway there. I think Bon Jovi would be like 3/4 of the way there by now. Okay. Why won't it cut off? Because the fuel pump is getting constant power. I think that's the reason. So let's see. Okay. We're getting there, fellas. We're getting there. So if I take this off, I think it's not. That's exactly what's happening. The fuel pump is getting constant power. So we know the switch ain't bad. Alright. I don't think I've got it. No, what I'll have to do is cut it. We're on to something. It's a good feeling when you can work this stuff out. Oh, what a feeling. Ooh, I'm hooked on a feeling. High on believing. Bonus points if you can tell me who that was. Alright, let me cut this off. Hook it to the power. And then now we just got to figure out where to wire the... Oh, I bet we wire it to... Instead of the constant there, I bet we just wire it to this one. I bet that's it. Because at this juncture, we still have to get off the machine, the machine. Alright. What size do you reckon that is? 3/4? 5/8. 5/8, 3/4. 9/16. Who knew? It looked like I was going to do an oil change just to put a key wiring harness on it. This puppy goes right there. If I can get it to slide in there. I'm hooked on a feeling. Now that song's gonna be in my head. High on believing. That boy can sing. That boy good right there. I ain't gonna be able to get that on there. My editor's rolling his eyes when I start singing. Okay, now let's put the fuel pump on this one. I think this is the one we need to put the fuel pump on. Will it make it to that? Nope. Darn. This is just a proof of concept here. I'm wondering if I can wire the fuel pump to one of these lugs here. And if you can do that, then I'll run a wire. Need some more alligator clips. Proof of concept. That's all it is. So let's try it on the starter one first. And then we'll run it to the ignition one. Well, no, let's run it to the ignition because the ignition is momentary, right? And the starter would be continuous. Okay, let's see if that works. It might not have enough connection, but we'll see. Okay. That's it. The fuel pump, it had continuous power to it. All right. That's awesome. Way to go. You guys did great. Okay, so we know what to do now. Run a wire from the ignition to the fuel pump, and look at that, huh? We in like Flynn. Y'all ever seen a more redneck job than this? Let me know in the comments below. It's but we got through the troubleshooting. We got through the troubleshooting steps. And I laugh, you know, I pick on you guys a lot. You guys pick on me a lot in the comments, but you guys, you know, you're like, yeah, it's a starter switch, dude. It's not like you're wiring a, you know, a Tesla. And you guys are right, it's true. But I'm glad you guys are hanging around for me to figure this stuff out. Now, because you have, if you notice, if you go back and watch some of my other videos, I wired up, like I wired up that air compressor, I wired up some lighting on that, my old Black Betty truck that I had. And if you remember, we did that right, you know, used wire looms and all that other good stuff. Made sure, you know, connected all the, soldered all the points together, and yada yada yada. Right now Wes is Wes, I don't know if you're watching this or not, but I know you're cringing. Oh, that's okay. It's okay, Wes. Alright, once again I left all the important stuff in the, turn this on. I think the gauges are connected to the switch somehow. There's this lady needed a tree cut down there in the yard. So she calls a tree guy up. Says, hey, I need this tree cut out of my yard. I'm going to be out of town for a couple days. Can you get it done? He's like, sure, that's what I do for a living. So she goes out of town. He cuts the tree down. She gets back. Well, she gets back and there's a big stump. And so she calls him up. She goes like, look, you left a stump in the yard. He goes, yeah, I don't do stumps. You got to call the stump grinder guy. And so she was like, I mean, okay, I wish you'd have told me that before I started. So she calls the stump grinder guy. He comes over and she goes, listen, I'm going to be out of town, but if you'll grind this stump, that'd be awesome. So he did. Well, she gets back in town, there's a big hole in her yard. And so she calls the stump grinder guy. Hey, there's a big hole in my yard. He goes, yeah, I just grind the stumps. I don't cover up the holes once the stumps ground down. He goes, you need to call a landscaper for that. And so she was like, I mean, whatever. Holy cow, I just wanted you to grind my stump. So she calls the landscaper. She goes, look, there's a big hole in my ground. Can you fix it? I'm going to be out of town for a couple days, but I need it done. So he's like, sure, no problem. I can do that. So she goes out of town. She comes back. He had planted a tree in that hole. Oh, mercy. That's a funny joke. Oh my goodness. Goodness gracious. Man, that right there just don't want to turn. Alright, now what we'll do over here, get this on, figure out what size that nut is. I think we're about ready to wrap this project up, fellas. Where'd my 7/16 get off to? That ain't it either. What size is that? Bigger than a 5/16. Is it metric? Can't be on a standardine, can it? Three-eighths. All right. Old guy I got one time, he got called to be a witness in a big trial, and he was like, they were asking, did you see the man that can you see the guy that is accused of committing this crime? Yeah, he's sitting right over there. And he pointed to the defendant, and well, the defense lawyer gets up there and goes, is it true that you can't see very good? He goes, well, I mean, I do wear glasses and stuff, and it was at night. And he goes, well, it seems to me like you got problems seeing. You can't see that far away. So he looks at the guy, and he goes, how far can you see? He goes, I don't know. I can see the moon. How far is that? Golly, they just keep getting worse, don't they? Oh my goodness. All right. Redneck engineering right here, fellas. The best. This is the best way to do it right here. You don't believe me? Just ask me. When you're doing stuff like this, and to be honest with you, like this machine, unless I sell it to somebody that's going to use it, I mean, I won't use this machine, golly, 4 times a year maybe. Okie dokie. Alright, let's try it. This is it, fellas. The final test. Power switch is on. Here we go. Ready? She's running good. Thank you, Jesus. Appreciate you guys watching. Check out these videos right here. They're pretty awesome. God bless you guys.